Sir Keir Starmer wants to send failed asylum seekers to Kosovo. Remember when he said this?
The Rwanda scheme was dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Everybody has worked out, particularly the gangs that run this, that the chance of ever going to Rwanda was so slim, less than 1%, that it was never a deterrent.
Then he wanted hubs in Albania before he got mugged off by the Albanian leader.
This was a one-off with Italy. And to be very frank with you, we have been asked by several countries if we were open to it, and we said no.
No. But today it's been confirmed that the Kosovan leader has said that she is willing to accommodate failed asylum seekers. Let's just look at our government's website about safety and security in Kosovo. Terrorists are likely to carry out attacks in Kosovo. There are warnings about vehicle explosions, armed criminals, unexploded landmines and bombs. Gay people are tolerated, not really accepted. That's before, of course, we've moved on to the earthquakes, flooding, landslides and wildfires. Let me tell you why I think this is a load of rubbish. Nearly 22,000 illegal migrants used the Western Balkans route to enter the EU last year. So we'll send them over to Kosovo. They'll just come back, won't they? Sir Keir Starmer hasn't started negotiations with Kosovo, so this will take years to actually happen. It appears we're only sending failed asylum seekers, so it won't stop people crossing the channel. Taxpayers paying for their legal challenges and, of course, housing them. Keir Starmer has been turned over by the EU and by Mauritius. Do you trust him to get a good value for money deal with the Kosovans? I want to show you now some videos, never before seen videos from northern France, posted on social media in the last few days. Now, this is a national emergency. We need action now, not a random deal with Kosovo in a few years' time. They are living it up in camps on the coast. They're legging it into lorries. They're boasting about UK border force just picking them up in the channel. They're no doubt very aware of my time in Calais as well. My interview with a Sudanese man who wanted us all to pay for him to have a house has gone global. And there you go, you can see all the TikTok commentators there on it. And why would they bother about Kosovo when they know that they'll be housed in places like this when they get to Britain? That is a Grade 1 listed Jacobean manor house, which was until recently used to house illegal immigrants. Looks absolutely lovely, doesn't it? Do you live somewhere like that? Probably not. This gimmick with Kosovo isn't going to stop a single boat. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got columnist and broadcaster Esther Cracker, we've got GB News superstar Alex Armstrong, and former Labour Party Minister Bill Rammell. Alex, I'll start with you. Do you think this Kosovo deal is going to stop a single boat?
No. Apart from the things you've already listed, Patrick, we know the approval rate, the success rate of being approved to stay here in the United Kingdom is a whopping 67%. And on appeal, it's 50% likely you'll win it. So there's bigger issues than just, of course, people coming across the border. Our own system will allow them to stay once they get here, and there's multiple means that they get here, not just through boats, as you said, lorries as well. And on top of that, we've got rules coming down from the ECHR, haven't we? So realistically, we've got to look at our entire process, not just from sending failed migrants to Kosovo, but to actually how we deal with the appeals process here in the UK.
Yeah, it doesn't save us a single penny as far as I could tell, Esther, because we're going to be paying for their legal processes when they're over here. We're going to be paying to accommodate them while that happens, and then we're probably going to be paying for whatever accommodation they're in Kosovo.
Well, Labour were in opposition for 14 years, and I think nothing shows this government's lack of being out of its depth more than how they've handled the situation. It's a lot easier to sit across the bench and criticise everything the Tories have done, like Keir Starmer vote against every immigration reform bill since 2015. But when you're actually in government, if you're going to cancel things like the Rwanda scheme, which we already spent a fortune on, you have to have a backup in place. You cannot now come 9-10 months into your premiership and start shopping around for a country that you want to send them to, arguing that Rwanda is not safe. OK, fine, Rwanda is not safe, even though the UN sent migrants there, they have a conflict with the DRC and the eastern border, fine, it's not safe. Kosovo, is Kosovo known as like sort of a peaceful country?
Well, according to our own government's website, it's not.
It's not, because their travel advice for British citizens to be cautious of travelling to Kosovo. So again, none of this was in place, but he spoke as if he was bringing the adults back in the room and he was going to sort all of this out. The boat crossings have never been higher, and in as much as he likes to point out that legal immigration is really high, it's the imagery, that's what sticks in the craw for many people. It's the fact that, they're cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners, and yet somehow this problem is getting worse and worse. They're completely out of their depth.
Well, on that, Bill, I mean, he was saying that Rwanda's a gimmick. He's done with gimmicks, no more gimmicks. Kosovo's a gimmick, isn't it?
No, it's not. But it's part of the arsenal that you need to tackle the boats. And look, net migration is already down by half since the government came to power.
That's because of the Tories, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the measures that the Labour Party didn't oppose and supported, and the real question is why the Tories did it so late in office. But that has had a big impact. But I agree with Esther. As much as anything, the problem with the boat crossings is they are a visible affront to people in terms of our ability to tackle the illegal crossings. Now, offshore processing, once the claim has been dealt with, and as I understand it, the government's looking at 9 different countries, can be part of the solution of driving down numbers, along with the Border Security Command, with counter-terrorism type powers, and also within the EU Brexit reset deal, where there is an agreement to a capped number of returns.
Many people don't actually know this. We actually hired, the Conservative government actually hired consultants from the last Australian government that did this, that had actual cross-partisan support in Australia back in 2012 and 2013. And we actually hired those people to try and advise us on how to do it. The Australians didn't have the EU, they didn't have the Belgians asking for money, they didn't have the French that they had to send hundreds of millions of pounds to. They just did it because they knew that once you have a strong deterrent in place and an offshore processing centre, you just need to keep this up for 2-3 months and you won't have any more crossings. No more let's leave the ACHR arguments or anything like that. All of this is just a gimmick.
Yeah.
That's the irony.
I think we also need to have a serious conversation about the French, OK, because we have now sold out our fishing waters. They say it's to appease the EU, it's basically just to appease the French, essentially. That was done in part to give us access to the EU Defence Fund, which France today are currently trying to block. They've also impounded a couple of British fishing vessels, so they can stop the boats when they want. They just happen to be our boats that are out there working. The French, I think, are a major problem for Britain. We have to start asking whether or not they are indeed our allies.
Yeah, we've given them £500 million to solve this crisis. The Belgians can do it perfectly well, and we're giving them money. And as you said, we probably appeased them a lot to Keir Starmer, knowing he's got to now move into this immigration territory, which he's very uncomfortable with. Probably gave a lot of leeway to the EU on fisheries and things like that. Behind closed doors, say, can you please help us stop these boats? I mean, I just think back to that footage of you in Calais just a few weeks ago, Patrick, seeing the French patrol go past and the boat still. So they only clearly done something about it once they saw you lot there with a camera. This is the reality. They don't want to stop the boats coming to Britain because then it's off their hands.
But look,
instead of this kind of, partisanship, I'd urge your viewers to go online and look at the coverage from Le Monde and Der Spiegel in March, which talks about aggressive French police tactics deterring people crossing the channel. I heard you saying that
at the weekend. Fantastic show. I listened in. Great stuff. And I thought at the time what I think now, which is that one article does not make a reality, Bill.
No.
I've actually been over there.
But it butts up against the notion
I could write an article saying anything. I've been to March.
The notion that the French are not trying to do anything.
No, it doesn't.
Now, we need them to do more. One of the recent changes they've made is an agreement to intervene in shallow waters, which is one of the best means of stopping the boats. They've just passed the legislation to make it happen, but we certainly need them to do more.
Okay, far be it for me to defend the French, but I don't think it's the French's fault that our politicians are stupid. I'm sorry, we can send as much money as they can can intercept only 50% of the boats. It's not their fault that our politicians are incompetent and inept and are happy to throw away our money. I think
but we're not using leverage. No, this is the thing.
It's not about leverage. It's not the French's problem.
But we had an opportunity.
Why are we blaming the French?
I'm not blaming the French. But what I am saying, I'm blaming our own negotiators. And this brings to my final point on this, which is whether or not Keir Starmer's a master negotiator. Because if he is going over there, the Kosovans. If I was from Kosovo now, I'd be rubbing my hands with glee. We've seen him get turned over by the Rwandans. Seen him get turned over by the Mauritians. Thinking, I can't wait for this. We're going to get a load of free money. We're going to have to do absolutely naff all for it. Come on in, Keir. Come on. I said, we'll show him we'll show him around some kind of fake asylum hotel, go, oh, they'll live here. Then right at the last minute, one of Keir Starmer's lawyer mates is going to block the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're going to come away 100 billion quid richer, and we're going to have done absolutely nothing for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, look, I think it's proving Keir Starmer is not a good negotiator. We've seen the Chagos Islands, which we're paying the privilege for, the EU reset deal, which he did a week before the United States slapped a 50% tariff on the continent, which would have massively strengthened our hand. And of course, this stuff with France is just even more evidence of it, isn't it? I mean, the guy cannot negotiate. They haven't got a business vote in the cabinet.
With the greatest respect, this is utter nonsense. You look at a trade deal with India, a trade deal with India, a trade deal with the United States, a trade deal with the EU. They are good deals. The EU reset deal will generate billions of pounds and jobs coming to this country. The deal with India, the deal with the United States, these are good negotiations that we wouldn't have got under the Tories.
By the time that $9 billion has made any impact on the British economy, we would have saved ourselves £150 billion had we stopped the small boats crisis.
Let's watch this space. This alleged Kosovan deal, which is yet to happen, and potentially some other countries as well, as Bill rightly pointed out. OK, part of a basket of measures. The national emergency is taking place on the beaches of Calais at the moment, and what is happening to stop that? I don't know.